Well, everybody, it's a huge privilege and pleasure as the chair of the Together Trust. And the Together Trust is sponsoring this exhibition. And the Together Trust was formerly known as Edinburgh City Centre Churches Together. It comprises of St Cuthbert's, where we are today, our good neighbours at St John's Episcopal Church, and St Andrew's and St George's West on George Street. We have a focus, outreach to the homeless. We also sponsor the workplace chaplain, so we have an outreach to the business community, and Sally, our workplace chaplain, operates from the Tower office just behind me. But the other thing we're delighted to be involved in is an arts outreach as well, and one of our clergy team is David Todd, who's the Presbytery-sponsored arts chaplain. So the group, the eco-group of the three churches are responsible for bringing this all together. I've just stood back from a distance, helped when I could, but I've just watched in amazement, really, when all this came together. As well as welcoming you as chair of the Together Trust, I also welcome you on behalf of the Kirk Session here at St Cuthbert's, where I'm privileged to be the minister. As you can see, we've done a bit of recycling in lockdown ourselves. We've removed all the pews, which have been recycled now as garden furniture all around the nation. But in doing recycling and creating this space, where you're sitting in the front here on a Sunday evening, we have a new congregation of 100 homeless folk who sit at tables and are just inspired by what they can see around them. And that's through our charity partner, Steps to Hope. We also gather them for a meal on Monday night, and it was so amazing last night bringing them in here. On a Monday we eat in the other hall just behind us, and watching them wander around was so special. So special when they saw their own artwork on display, because Sally, who I told you about, our workplace chaplain, she ran some art workshops for the homeless community. But we're represented here by schools throughout Edinburgh, care homes, the Royal Blind School, individuals, and there is just such talent in this city. It is quite extraordinary. And everyone thinks it's all happening in Glasgow, COP26. You can say no, it's happening in St Cuthbert's, at the foot of the Castle Rock, where it's all happening. And lovely to have our Polish-Scottish community with us, who we have the privilege of doing the Wojciech service for every year. And the Polish community have their own Saturday school, where they keep their own culture and traditions going, and some of that is represented on the wall. There's only one person I want to mention by name, apart from our honoured guest in a moment, and that one person has been part of the Together Trust Eco team, and that's Erin, who is our arts intern. She's been sponsored by Edinburgh Presbytery and the good folk of St Cuthbert's, and she, along with Emily, they were so good we had to take two of them for the summer. Emily can't be with us, but Erin is here, and as well as being a full-time second-year student at Edinburgh Art School, she's been helping bring all this together. So Erin, I think it's so good to mention you by name, because you are the future. You are what this planet needs to keep going for, so that you've got something to hand on in years to come. And having seen your ability and the ability of your friends in the schools, I have great confidence that we're in good hands as we go forward. I'm delighted to welcome that's the wrong word. I'm delighted to welcome a friend of St Cuthbert's, who usually is here when Nikos gather for their stunning talent of the youngsters in Scotland singing. But today the Lord Provost has very kindly and graciously agreed to open the exhibition and to say a few words. Lord Provost.
Thank you, Peter, for that introduction, and welcome everybody. And it's great to see so many people here for the opening of this exhibition, which is entitled Our Precious and Precarious World. I mean, without doubt, our minds have been occupied for the last 18 months, 2 years, with COVID-19 and the limitations and restrictions that has brought. But without doubt, the biggest threat today that faces us is climate change. It's often regarded as being the biggest threat to the planet, but I have to break the news: the planet will survive. It's humankind that we actually need to be aware of, and that climate change bears a tremendous threat to the human race. Now this exhibition, and I've not seen all of it yet, Erin has very kindly led me through various groups. It brings together communities from across the city, whether it be school groups or community groups or various other organisations. A tremendous range of, I think also a great representation of our society here in Edinburgh. And it's quite interesting that the different groups have got different interpretations on climate change, and they all have their own unique area. But this is a microcosm of the society that we have in Edinburgh, and it's one of the reasons that Edinburgh in certain ways is leading to a certain extent on this, and in that we declared a climate emergency back in 2018 as a city. We've set some of the most ambitious targets in terms of net carbon zero, which is really aggressive, and it's quite difficult to get there, but it's only a starting point, because what you're saying with net carbon zero is we're not going to make things worse, which is the first thing you have to do. One of the first lessons you get as a speaker is when you start making mistakes, stop talking. And I think that's a great thing that looks at carbon. How do we stop making things worse before we can start to make things better? We've had a great response. We have a plan. We don't just have a strategy, we have a plan. And 18 of the largest organisations within the city have signed up to that plan and have already committed to significant carbon reductions within their businesses. We also put the plan out to the people. We're a great administration for actually consulting people. And we said, this is what we see our plan being for our city. And we've had a tremendous response from all age groups and all demographics to say, yes, this is great. And while businesses and organisations can do a great deal, they are only part of the picture. And as a council, we're doing some tremendous things. You'd expect me to say that, but we are. We're looking at investing in how do we only build new houses that are carbon zero, that don't use energy. We're also tied up with how do we look at emissions in terms of transportation, which is huge. How do we refit much of our historic city, which actually is very high in terms of carbon and energy usage. Lots of money, lots of attention going into these things. We've also got good partnerships with organisations such as Changeworks, Edinburgh Reuse, about recycling. How do we do it? And some of these examples with what we've here and some of the paintings, where we see some of the younger people reusing materials and incorporating that into the examples that they have. Now, Peter mentioned COP26. COP26 taking place in the other place is the largest gathering of world leaders that certainly the UK has ever seen, and I would suggest potentially the world has ever seen. We're expecting 140 of the world's leaders to be here in Scotland over the beginning of November, supported by over 25,000 people working on this project. And I am absolutely certain that they're going to come forward with great strategies. I think there's a better realisation that climate change is indeed real. I think a lot of people signed up in 2014 in Paris, not really believing it, but thought politically they had to do that. I think that realisation has now come home, and people are truly involved in it. And over the 1st and 2nd of November, these 140 leaders are going to lay out their concept for their countries, their states, what they believe will be the way forward. And the 25,000 people will produce a document which will be yea thick, and most of us will never read. And I think exhibitions such as this exhibition here in St Cuthbert's, and if I can just thank you, Peter, for hosting this exhibition and giving people the opportunity to come in. The communication with the world leaders has to be a two-way communication. The representations that we see in here, whether it be artworks or whether it be sculptures in wood or pottery over on the far side, these are representations that are coming from grassroots people, from citizens. The world leaders need to hear that. They need to listen to that. They can't sit in isolation if we're really going to address it. And when they come out the other side, they have to have a communication that means something to us, something that we can change our daily lives in. Now, I'm very proud that Peter's given me an opportunity to come here and to open this exhibition and highlight COP26 and the climate change. The work here, I think, represents huge aspects and the whole range of climate change initiatives. I hope we're going to get a lot of people coming through here and representing it. I'm really glad that so many young people, in terms of the schools, have been involved in this. It's something we learned from the Edinburgh 2050 vision, that it's the young people we have to listen to. Because in 20 and 30 years' time, when there is, if we do nothing, there is a real issue. These are the people who are actually going to be dealing with it, not us. We have to take cognizance of what we do. As I say, the message that needs to come out of COP26 and be translated is, what can we do as ordinary citizens? What are the small changes that we can do that collectively as a planet of 8 billion people will actually change things? I'll just finish by saying, I'll remind people, the planet will survive. This is about the survival of humankind, of us, and future generations. And if any of these paintings or sculptures or pottery can bring inspiration to people or give us a guidance as to what's going on, then I think we will have succeeded dramatically. Just bringing the whole subject to life in this city centre church is good. But if from that we can get 1 or 2 actions, and we should maybe invite some of the world leaders, since 50 of them are staying in Edinburgh, to come and have a look at what young people think about climate change. That would be absolutely, I think, a very worthwhile. So once again, Peter, thank you very much, and the churches, for pulling together this exhibition. It's absolutely tremendous. Please spread the word and get people to come in and, if nothing else, just contemplate their own thoughts while looking at these tremendous, tremendous exhibitions. And I'm delighted that we're here today to open the exhibition, and it runs until Saturday evening. Saturday evening. So do spread the word and get as many people in as possible to see what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to say, please don't rush off. There's lunch for everybody in the hall behind us. And if you do have to get away, do take some food with you. But meanwhile, just enjoy, browse, and as the Lord probably says, spread the word, and let's get